Hey guys, this is Matthew, and welcome back to another board game review. Last time we looked at Smash Up, which is an excellent trading card game. Kind of slow, but a good introduction to how card games work. But today, we're gonna look at Bohnanza by by hopefully I get this right. Uwe Rosenberg. Did I sound German to ya? Huh? I sound German, didn't I? Yeah. Now, what are some things that spring to mind when you think of Bohnanza and you look at the cover? What's some things that spring to mind? Beans?
Beans?
That's probably one question that might be on your mind. You're probably thinking to yourself, what is a game that's going to involve beans? And is it fun? Well, let me tell you something. It's hella fun. Hella fun.
He's elephant, the elephant sees him blow.
Bohnanza is essentially a game where you play a bean farmer. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. I know what you're thinking. You're already turned off by the aspect that it's about
Bean farmers trading their beans at market.
I get it. Okay, I can read you. But let me tell you something, okay? This ain't no ordinary bean farming game, okay? This is a bean farming game about capitalist supremacy against your competitors. Although it may seem like bean farming is a boring start for a game, this game is very intense. In fact, you're probably going to be yelling at each other for the duration of the game. It's all about planting and harvesting at the right time, collecting the most money, and getting the best deals that you can possibly get out of your hand of cards. Essentially, the way the game works is that you're given 2 bean fields, and with the option to purchase a third one for 3 coins, which are you're sacrificing 3 of your potential points to win in order to build a new field. Now, 2 fields may seem like a lot, but trust me, 2 fields is not a lot in this game. There are 11 different types of beans, each with different rarities, with the coffee bean being the most common and the cocoa bean being the least common. However, if you compare the most common card to the least common card, you'll notice that you need more cards to profit off of the most common and then less cards to profit off of the rare, which, makes sense because you're seeing more of the common and less of the rare. Doy. So it's all about figuring out, do I want to commit to building a field just for this one bean, or should I just let it go and try a different tactic? One of the ways that's going to force you to figure out a strategy is the opening hand of the game. Now, contrary to other card games where you can take your hand and you can rearrange them in any order you like in your hand so it's easier for you to read, the hand you're given is the hand you're given. You can't rearrange your hand of cards because you're going to be playing every card in your hand in the order from the front to the back. That means every turn you're going to have to put another card down in the lineup unless you're able to trade away a card from your hand to help move up cards that are in the back that you want to start planting and working on right away. This is an interesting game mechanic to me because you don't see that ever where your hand is also part of the game. It's not just helping you play the game, it's also a convention of the game. And trust me, and boy oh boy, sometimes the cards aren't in your favor and you're dealt a shitty hand with like one of every card sitting there and you're like, I can do nothing. I can profit off of none of these. They're all garbage. They're all going to bean hell. And then other times you're like, woo, I'm going to be raking in the big bucks in the early game. Like I said, there's a luck aspect to it all. But there are game conventions put in place to allow you to move the game to your favor if you so desire. Which you should. You're playing a game to win. Why would you just want to play to not win? There are a few phases that you're going to go through in the game, and I'll discuss that in detail. The first phase is the planting phase. So like I said, you have your order of cards in your hand. So the first thing you're going to have to do is plant the first card in the order, and you have no choice. This is something you always have to do no matter what. If you have an empty field, it's easy. Just put the card into the field and However, you're going to get to a point where you have all your fields are full with different beans, and you got one that does not fit in any of those fields because it doesn't match with any of them. In which case, you're going to have to rip up one of your fields in order to make room for the new bean in the lineup. This is incredibly stressful sometimes because you're on a roll, you're building up this field with like 2 different types of beans, and you're almost ready to collect 4 coins off of them, and then boom, you gotta make room for the big boys. You plant the first bean in the line, and then you have an option to plant the second one in line, but you don't have to plant the second one. After you've planted the bean or beans into the respective fields, then it's time to move on to the offer phase. In the offer phase, you draw 2 cards from the deck and you place them face up in front of you. These essentially are cards that are being offered to be planted into your fields. Now, while these are options for you to deal with, if you can't get rid of them and you don't want them, well, too bad, you're going to have to plant them anyway. So this is where the game gets fun, and this is where I mentioned that you're going to be yelling at each other for the duration of the game. During the offer phase, players can offer trades in exchange for what's on the table. And they can also trade other things too, like maybe they don't want what's on the table, but they're willing to trade something for something in your hand, in which case you can also do that if it's your turn. But basically, this phase can take a couple minutes as people might be throwing offers back and forth at you and trying to bargain to get the cards in the middle of the table. Assuming you can come to a compromise and you are able to make a trade with someone or multiple people in the game, then the offer cards will go to their new owners and you will get the trades in return. That said, anything traded or offered must be planted after the deals have been done. So you can't put anything back into your hand. This all will be put onto your field. So if you have no space for them, you're gonna have to make room. And that's really the heart of the game right there, is the offer phase, where you start digging into other people's minds and psyches and figuring out, what are they doing? What are they going to do to try and win this game? Because remember, even if someone's on your side and they're helping you out, they're giving you some offers that you like, just remember, they're trying to win. They have an idea of how to win, okay? They're thinking. They're thinking with their brain box. Okay? They're their brain box. Now, like I loosely mentioned before, if you're unable to trade any of those offer cards away, then you have to take them and you have to plant them. So maybe they turn out in your favor. If you pull out 2 offer cards and you like those cards, you don't have to trade them away anyway. You can just take them. Then, once all the offer cards and trades have been planted, then the player whose turn it is draws 3 cards and places them in order onto the back of their hand. The game ends after 3 deck rotations. So, like, once the discards pile up and there's no more cards to draw, then shuffle the discards, put it back on top, and then keep playing until you reach 3. Now, how do we make money? I mentioned loosely that there's an aspect of amassing beans, putting them onto your field, and building them up so that they can be harvested for cash. Essentially, below every bean card, there's a little rubric that they call the beanometer, and basically it tells you how many beans need to be growing in the field in order to rake in the cash that you're looking for. 4 coins is the max amount of cash you can cash out on a bean field, basically. So, for example, if you go to the most common, if we're talking about coffee beans, you'll need 12 of them in order to get 4 coins, which is like a ton. But that being said, there's 24 of them in a deck, which means you have a really good chance at amassing 12 in your game. And whilst if you look on the other spectrum, with the most rare being the cocoa bean, you only need 4 for 4. It's just a 1-for-1 because there's literally only 4 cocoa beans in the deck. So if you get all 4, you're smiling all the way to the bank. Your bean fields can be harvested at any time. You don't have to wait till your turn. You can, if you feel like you can bank coins off of them, you can just rip them up and take the money. To claim the cash that the beanometer is giving you for your plant, simply claim the cards necessary for the coin amount. So, for example, you have 12 coffee beans sitting there, and you're like, okay, I can get 4 coins. Just take 4 of those coffee beans and flip them over, and then you have a coin on the other side of the card. So then those are your coins. You just take 4 of those coffee beans, flip them upside down, and put them into a personal pile. And then the rest of the coffee beans will go in the discard pile. And there you go. That's it. That's how you're making the money. That's how you're making the money. And as I mentioned before, if you feel like 2 fields isn't enough and you wanna branch out, you want more, you want just one more field, and it will help you out. If you discard 3 of your coins, then you will obtain a bean field, a 3rd bean field, and that's it. That's pretty much it. That's the game. You're just gonna go around, you plant, you take offers, you trade, and then you sell. I really like this game because it's super simple. It's really easy to teach someone how to play a game like this because there's really not a lot that goes into it. A lot of things are out of your control, and it's all about figuring out how you're going to go about the order of things. What are the cons of this game? It's hard. That's a hard question. The game's pretty tuned out. It's hard to see what doesn't work, but I think probably the main thing that might get on people's nerve, the game is a long one. As you can see, 3 deck rotations doesn't seem like a long time, but getting through one can take you 40 to 50 minutes depending on how engaged people are with the offers and trades, because trades can take 5 minutes a turn just for people going back and forth saying, I'll give you this for that, I'll give you that for this, whatever. But that being said, although the game asks you for 3 deck rotations, I mean, you can just do one. The game's fine if you do 1 deck rotation, honestly. I mean, I guess it's 3 so that you have a chance to redeem yourself if someone's taking a big lead or whatever. But honestly, 1 deck rotation in the game is done. And really, with that house rule alone, it doesn't really bring the game down at all. As far as the game telling you to do 3 deck rotations, I think that's super minor in comparison to everything else they have in this game, which is really heavily balanced. I mean, sure, your luck might be bad, but there's so many ways to collect coins in this game, and it's all about communicating with your opponents the right way as well. So all in all, do I think Bohnanza is a good game and is worth your buy? Yes. Fucking buy it. It's gonna get a lot of people together. I'm telling you, okay? It looks boring, okay? It looks like another Monopoly. It looks like another Settlers of Catan. But I'm telling you, okay? This game is solid. It is solid. It is a solid buy. Do not hesitate, okay? Get it. It's German. It's good. I mean, Catan's good. It's German as well. But Bohnanza. I just spat on the camera lens. I hope that didn't catch that.